the sounds of the topic. So first of all, I want to talk about the man like Jigga, Jay-Z. So, I'm sure you've been hearing in the news recently about the fact that Jay-Z has signed a deal with NFL to implement social change. He's working alongside the NFL to implement social change, through football, through American football. And, if you also don't know, subplot to that actual story is that Colin Kaepernick, who is famous for the fact that he kneeled during the national anthem, the US national anthem, as a protest against...
How long ago was that now?
It's about 2 years now, maybe? It's a
little
while ago. It's a little while ago. Yeah, so he's been protesting police brutality for ages. And basically he's been blackballed from the game of gridiron, as they call it, American football. Is that how you say it? Gridiron?
Yeah.
Anyway,
like
whatever.
Anyway.
It's
American football.
Yeah, American
Leave
football.
them to their own thing.
I was just trying to think. But yeah, he's been blackballed for the last 2 years by these owners who basically were trying to silence him and thought that he should just shut up and play. And so Jay-Z signed the NFL deal. And a lot of people in the kind of Black Lives Matter movement and a lot of people who campaigning for social justice, people in Kaepernick's camp as well, people on Kaepernick's side who are fighting alongside him, felt like Jay-Z sold out by signing that deal with NFL. Jay-Z and people on Jay-Z's side have then obviously come out and defended him and said, Jay-Z himself came out and said, well, how do we affect social change if we don't do it from inside these organizations? And that was kind of his defense as to why he signed this deal, because he felt like it was something that he needed to do from the inside. He felt like the best way to change things is to change it from the inside, to change perceptions and change, how these things operate from the inside of the organization. A lot of people not really having that. My question to everyone in this room is, do we feel, A, that Jay-Z was right to take that deal? Do we feel like it was just a move like purely for the dough? Yeah, or do we feel that there's something deeper than that? Do we need people like Jay-Z, people who are, in our disciplines, who are fighting for these changes from the inside? Do we fight these beasts from the inside of them, or do we have to, build our own separate movements to fight these battles? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose my first thing is, you guys probably know Jay-Z's career better than I do, but has Jay-Z done anything in his career or history that suggests that he's only going after money? Because it seems to me like he's done a lot of like business moves which have tried to like intercept things, try and change the game, trying to make the game a fairer playing field for artists. I know a lot of people didn't like Tidal, but what he was trying to do...
Well, if you're Dame Dash, you'll think that he has made moves for greed, and you have made moves to snake out people. That's if you're Dame Dash. But a lot of people would agree with what you're saying there. But carry on, sorry.
Yeah, it's not about... Look, as I said, I don't know Jay-Z's career inside out. I don't know all the business moves he's made, but there's some big ones that he's made that seem to me like he's trying to challenge what's already there. And I'd like to think that he's trying his best to use his profile to intercept from within. But of course, there's a huge issue with that, and I think we've seen time and time again people who try to say that they're intercepting from the inside often just get caught up and become one of those. Is Jay-Z already? Is he already too far gone? Is he too much in the machine?
No.
He's basically a massive cog in this machine now.
Yeah.
He's one of the wealthiest, one of the most successful, not just artists but just like entrepreneurs in the scene.
Yeah.
And in not even like just in the scene, in music, in stop.
Entertainment.
Entertainment. Yeah. He goes further. So how. I like to believe what he's saying is he has credence to say that he wants to make change, and there is a logic to that. But ultimately, like once you're so far deep, like you're just one of them. Surely, I don't know if there's any way to come back from that. What does everyone else think?
I think it's interesting that he said we need to get into these bigger businesses and bigger companies to change the game and make social change and stuff. Because interestingly, if you break it down to a smaller scene, like the UK scene, I saw an interview with Jammer recently, and he's talking about Red Bull and some of the people that sponsor like UK artists. And he was saying a similar thing. He was saying we need to get hold of these bigger entities that are already business, who are spotting us and seeing us for what we are, and we need to use that because it's urban music, brother. At the end of the day, there's kids from low income backgrounds and poverty, effectively. So like, what we might as well like try and use these bigger entities, man. So if that's the real reason why Jigga's doing it, then yeah, definitely. That's how it should be. I don't know the ins and outs of the situation too much to say whether it's just a money move but if he is doing that, he's right, and that's what we all should be doing. We should all be trying to tap into these bigger entities who have got that funding and got that money because they can help our scene, bro.
The thing is, if you've got the platform to do it, look, he's in a position of strength where he can infiltrate these organizations in a way where he could influence it for the long term. Like it's the long game, innit? It's the long game. Everyone, like, people always shout at things how they look on face value, but in the long game, he's thinking, all right, I've got a seat at the table now. Yeah, if you got a seat at the table, you have a say. If you don't have a seat at the table, you don't have a say. Yeah. You can just complain.
Jay is already one of the people who has made hip hop like family friendly, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Hip hop's normal now. It's not some side urban thing. Like, it's the most popular genre in the world, and Jay-Z's integral to that. And I think he is still all about the game, man. I think he is still all about evolving the culture, man.
I agree with you 100% because listen, like, if you check his resume of the things that he's been doing recently, he's been involved in justice reform. He came out with.
I think this is a really important thing to know. Like, what is his
it's
track
like
record recently?
There's been so many artists, and like even just like Khalif Browder, who was the young man who was falsely imprisoned, for theft, who ended up unfortunately killing himself. He was one of the advocates who fought really hard to get him out of jail and get that whole conviction squashed. He's been, like I said, he's been fighting for justice
that
reform.
Ain't business moves, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
He doesn't have to do that, and he's doing it.
He helped. He was one of the reasons why Meek Mill was able to sorry, I got a little bit carried away. Started hitting shit. But yeah, back to the point. He was one of the reasons why Meek Mill was able to get his parole overturned, because once Jay-Z's money got involved, because Jay-Z's so rich now and so much of an influence in culture that once he puts his name to something, anything where like people are doing shady shit, like where powers that be are doing shady shit in the kind of in the darkness, in the crevices of society, if you think about Meek Mill's case, not a lot of people, like, Meek Mill is a massive celebrity in the US, but not many people knew about how fucked up his court case was, where he was falsely imprisoned for something that he didn't do, where these policemen were ultimately corrupt, and he got locked up for a crime that he didn't commit, and this judge was like, there was just corruption at every turn. I'm not going to get into the whole court case, but there was corruption at every turn of this court case, and he was on parole for 11 years, and nobody really realised what kind of fuckery was actually happening in this case until Jay-Z decided to put money, and he got a private investigator, and he got all these people to kind of come and like shed light on the case, and then his case became like this big massive thing. The fact that like all this Free Meek was on Breakfast Club and all these media outlets wasn't an accident. That was Jay-Z among others, but Jay-Z mainly. Do you know what I'm saying? So really and truly, like, we need people like that who are like fighting for
fighting from the top.
Yeah, fighting rather for our causes. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I mean, even with like, okay, I know, like, listen, Kanye West does some foolishness, but the fact that he's got that, I don't rate Kanye West and a lot of things that he does, but the fact that he's got that friendship with Trump is the reason why ASAP Rocky got freed.
Yeah, and look.
It's the reason why A$AP Rocky got freed.
On that point, yeah, I mean, you mentioned...
Because ASAP actually fucked some guy up. Like, he fucked him up.
Fucked him up on camera, on Instagram.
He fucked him up, bro.
On Instagram, like live.
Kicked his head in.
Yeah. I mean, ASAP was going pen in Sweden. Like, he was
done out.
He was gonna go.
He was about to be sleeping on them IKEA bunk beds for like a couple years.
Yeah, he was in trouble because they don't fuck around in Sweden. But yeah, I mean, but just staying on the Kanye point, and that's a really like important thing. I think that, you know, we can laugh at what Kanye has done and said in the past, but there is an element and a logic to what he was saying with regards to Trump and infiltrating that kind of level of politics, that level of person. Because his argument was, and it's kind of similar.
Not strong enough.
It's Kanye is not strong enough.
They were murdering, man.
Well, you're absolutely right. The point he was trying to make was the reason I'm doing this, because if black people at the top end don't try and infiltrate and try and change the game, no one's going to do it. There is no one else that's going to do it. It's not going to happen at ground level. As much as people like to believe that it's going to, revolutions happen from the ground, they don't happen from the ground. Revolutions happen because of people with power who back it with money and campaigns and marketing and all the rest of it. And that's, believe what, you can agree with Kanye West or not. The point is there's a logic to what you were saying. And I think there's similarly, this is what Jay-Z is attempting to do.
Both those stories. Right?
Jigger man. My take on this is I'm not sure. I see it come up, and I didn't really do my investigating, but then I did at a later point. And what I look at with Jay-Z is that Jay-Z has his hands in many pies. From his music career expanded in a certain way, and he was the power couple with Beyonce and everything else. We won't go into the background of Jay-Z. People that are fans and follow his music know his history, but I think Jay-Z right now is in a position. He looked at NFL. I think he looked at the Kevin situation, and he's got empathy towards it. Why wouldn't he? Why would he not? But I think what Jay-Z's doing with the NFL is, the NFL is institutionally racist. It's white big men in Texas ranches that are billionaires, and they're old. They got a round table, and you're not coming in it. He owns this club. Uncle Buck owns that club. Sanders owns that club. So we can control the whole thing. If Jay-Z steps into something like this, he becomes a threat. Because look at the NFL. Black athletes, 90-something%. Yeah. If you look at the NFL. So if you look at the demographic of the guys that are running this establishment, and like the old, draconian ways that they're carrying in it, this old school, old-fashioned ways, the shit's going to die out. These guys are old.
So my question to you then, Ray, is why the hell have the NFL allowed for a deal to happen with Jay-Z?
Because Jay-Z's in a position of power now. They couldn't not. They couldn't stop it. Yeah, they couldn't stop it. And they're seeing the wave of things as well. But at the same time, I don't think that was accepted by all the powers that be in NFL. I think he had to pull some major strings to even be able to sign his name on making that an agreement. Yeah. Because I think it worried a lot of people, and they're scared now because it might happen in basketball, it might happen in baseball, it might happen in ice hockey, all those big sports in USA. It might just happen.
This isn't a case of Jay-Z's walked in the fucking door and just gone, and then they've gone, oh yeah, please.
It took a lot of strings, you can tell.
No. He's fought tooth and nail to get onto the table to eat a piece of pie.
He's probably like a baby seat at the table.
A small one.
It's going to be put out in the press like it's some big thing, but it's not. It's going to be a minute. It's going to be a miniature role. But look, if he can get there, there's lots of other people in not just hip hop and entertainment, but other areas of society in America where wealthy, influential people from the black community can now. Because he's there, it's a precedent. Yeah. Now they've got one. They can go and attempt to do deals with other people, and so that's where change.
It's few and far between, though, man.
Bad company.
I'm undecided. Like one thing, like Jay-Z's a very smart guy, and there's not too many Jay-Z's around. No. This is the thing. And then I guess he would like to, he probably want to do more. And I'm saying he probably want to be more vocal about what he wants to do as well, but he can't because like we said, now he's in a place where he's coming, he's brushing shoulders with some like top guys, yeah, some big wigs. So it's like he has to play it smart. There's a few other people like that are doing big things, but obviously I think like he's more influential. Do you know what I'm saying? But like we're seeing that, but we need to hear and see more things going on, like behind the scenes. Do you know what I'm saying? People that like not the Jay-Z's, like the peoples that, or even like rappers that you don't. I'm sure a lot of people like Akon, what Akon was doing. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Now I see like he got credit line from the Chinese government or something like that. So when you scale it now, and you look at it like, he might have got some money from the Chinese to do some big things, but on the bigger thing, the Chinese are taking over, bro. Do you get what I'm saying? So
that's another conversation.
That's what I'm saying. So we're there, we're getting in there, and we're infiltrating. But like, how long is it gonna take, really? And so that kind of goes back to I was saying why I was undecided, because when you think about it, it's gonna it's gonna take a lot of time. Do you know what I'm saying? For us to get some real power.
Well, this is the thing. This is what the detractors say. The naysayers are kind of like, well, kind of on that point. It's like, well, fuck their dolly house, make your own house, and then you build up your
to
own
a certain
industries.
extent.
You build up your own industries and thing. But the thing is, it's like the way that capitalism is set up. The game's rigged. It's not set up.
Of course.
Coming up from the ground. It's
like, not.
You can't just. It's very hard to build. Your own houses.
It's hard to sit it's hard to sit at the table with your so-called enemies or your enemies. Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
How did Zimbabwe get their independence, man? Do you know what I'm saying? Or, like Robert Mugabe just did what he did, innit? You know what I'm saying? Some people were saying, he was wrong and shit. But, his people respect him for that. Do you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, I'm not saying there has to be some revolution in hip-hop and shit like that. All I'm saying is that, we're infiltrating, but, like, what's really, it's good, but on a bigger scale, what's really going on? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you said he's like, people are saying, he's probably got a baby seat at the table. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, when you look at like the bigger picture, there's, he's just got himself in the door, his foot in the door, literally. Foot in the door.
So to cut you, company, I also think Jay-Z's trying to do like what a few before him have not done. Because if you look at hip-hop, it's not in its infancy no more. Hip-hop's like 40 years old, man. Hip-hop's like a middle-aged dude right now, innit? So it's like, how many billionaires is there in hip-hop? There's a handful. Dre, Jigga, maybe a few more behind the scenes that's like not on the musical level. Drake probably approaching it. A few. J Prince, Master P's was up in the hundreds of millions, but they're not billionaires.
It's only Dre and
look at look at the culture. Look at the culture. So
Drake shared.
I've gone into the industry, and there's only a handful of mans that is.
Drake called himself the first billionaire in hip hop, but actually technically, because it's a deal split with Irvine, it's actually technically not all his money. So
it's 3 billion.
So look, you have to look at it like that now. So
it's 3 billion. Man.
I think
3 billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
With what Apple did.
Yeah.
That was
3 billion.
For the headphones, innit?
Okay. Yeah, it beats. When they started fucking up the phones.
You have to look at it like that.
Nah, the phones ain't got no fucking headphone slot. Yeah, I haven't got either. But yeah, carry on, Ray.
Coming back to the point, it's just like Jigga is trying to just make a wave as an artist that like none before him have done in a position of power that he has, because he doesn't really need to prove anything musically no more, and he's a rich man and a wealthy man. So I think he's just putting that into like different avenues now and showing a different like side of himself that he may have not shown when he was an artist, because everyone knows in Jigga was an artist what he spoke about, man. It was that fly shit, man. It was like money as wealth. It's always been that.
About speedboats.
It's always been that.
Can I ask you lot one more question with quick answers? Do you think Jay-Z's past it musically?
It depends who you put him around musically.
No, I don't
How
think.
it comes out. No.
I don't think he is.
He got lazy. To me, Jigga got lazy.
I like 4/4. I thought it was a really solid album.
4/4 was great. It wasn't as good as
Beyonce.
several of his
For
classics,
Beyonce.
and before that, a
Beyonce.
few of his projects were
I-
whack.
No, it's not. It's not as good as like, because he's not a hungry 19-year-old.
Yeah, I
But for the time that he's made it in, I think that the music's decent.
But
He hasn't got that hunger, and his style's changed a little bit. Like some of these old rappers, like Nas, like his flow's different. I listen to Nas, I'm like, like, why your flow sound so basic now?
It's the beats, man.
Maybe, but I don't know. It's the rhyme scheme sound good, fam.
Bruv,
The delivery ain't there.
the producers he's fucking with there, don't get me wrong, like, they're good, but when they work with Nas, it's not good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not. Nas is a New York rapping these New York beats. Kanye West and Swiss Beats. Don't get me wrong, Swiss Beats is from New York, but it's not Nas. It's not Nas. Do you get me? Like Swiss Beats and nah.
I think it is as well. I think Nas is good at a certain tempo, and they keep the beats that he's been given recently have been missing the tempo. On the Kanye album, you could see that the beats that he made, he tried to tailor them for Nas. There was a lot of like soulful samples and shit like that. There was only one or two beats that really sounded like Kanye beats, like really like atmospheric.
I don't know how true it is, but apparently Kanye only worked on it for like a week before
really?
it was finished.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
I think Kanye only ever
he
works
throws
on
out
anything for about
yeah,
a week.
And
he gets bored after that, doesn't he?
To be because he's quite prolific with the way he makes his beats. So that's not that. I don't think that's this.
Okay,
because I think he made even the Pusha T thing.
I'm just saying though, if you're making a fucking Nas album, you spend more than 7 days on your beats, man.
True.
Surely.
True.
Well,
but I think the beats were too slow. I just think the beats were far too slow. On that album especially, the beats were far too slow. I still haven't listened to Lost Tapes, but the tune that I heard off it, his flow was off, bruv. His flow was like, I don't know, like it was so basic.
We asked about Jay-Z and we went on to Nas.
Like,
real quick.
about Jay-Z, yeah, I don't think he's past it musically.
No, I don't think so.
I still think he's very influential musically.
Huh?
I still think he's very influential musically.
Yeah.
And now we're in like the visual age, yeah. Not many rappers can do a video in the Louvre.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Like with next to them artworks there.
But
it
also,
takes a lot of clout, a lot of dough.
Yeah, for real.
Even
For
take
real.
a picture
Yeah.
True,
Yeah,
man.
for real. That is real talk. But also, I do feel like he hasn't really changed as well. His style.
My question wasn't to say he's not still influential in it. I'm just talking about him rapping, bro. That was
But his
it.
style. But Tommy, I don't think
he's ever changed.
I don't think his style has changed much. You think about all the other rappers from that era, yeah, bar a couple, yeah, raise that door. Bar a couple, most of the rappers from that era like have either tried to change their style or move with the times, whatever. Jay-Z still uses the same sorts of beats on every project. He still uses the same sorts of beats.
Maybe it's just not quite the right ones. It's like Wu-Tang, like they still always use the same kind of beats. Like on the W album and the ones after that, but they just didn't hit as hard. Maybe it's just the beats then, man. Maybe that's what it is.
We're talking about whether artists can craft songs like as well as they used to. Like, there's a whole reason. There's a whole host of reasons. This happens in every genre.
Okay,
like,
let's ask this. Let's ask this. Sorry, Luke, but let's ask this. Okay, so the story of OJ. Yeah, I would say like whether or not you feel like Jay-Z is still like pushing the envelope musically in this era. The story of OJ is like one of his best songs.
Definitely.
That's one of his best.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
that's one of his best songs.
Hardest banging songs.
Like for me, like I mean, I've never been like the biggest Jay-Z fan. I'm moderate. But like, if I was to pick Jay-Z, like 20 tunes from Jay-Z, that will be in there somewhere.
100% would be in my top 20.
Yeah, mate. In 20, yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why I say influential because if you're asking if he's past it musically, you kind of judge that on whether or not he still captures the younger ear, the audience, and a song like that, come on, if me young listening to that would have influenced me. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I said that.
But at the same time, that's you. That's not a lot of youngers.
No, but that song blew up though. That song blew up though. But no, but the story of LJ blew up though. That was a big. That when it come out, it was.
The youngers that don't want to hear that, they are truly lost and they don't know about music.
No, of course. No, I'm with you. But a lot of some of the biggest audiences of music in the world don't know about music. Bro.
True.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But again, we're going down the rabbit hole with this one because that's like that subjective shit. Like
that's bad music. What's good music?
That's not good music. That's fucking rubbish. Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Proofs in the pudding, bruv. All right.
One of my best rhymers, but
Nah, me either, but he's up there, yeah.
What you were talking about, Jay-Z for me, as Kills was saying, hasn't really changed. His style has remained pretty much the same throughout. It's just, I think he had a bit of a break from music for a while. When was the last project before Story of OJ.
444.
Was it 444? Yeah. Where was it?
Yeah, it's was it one of the blueprints? No, nah. American Gangster. Oh yeah, the phone. Watch the throne.
Watch the Throne.
That was that was like that one so much shit.
Fucking loads.
That fucking that. Yeah. But Watch the Throne, that was massive for the kids as well.
Watch the Throne was
like
huge.
Watch the Throne weren't only like old rappers listen, old Jay-Z fans listen. That was like
that'll be that one. That was that track though.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. I didn't really listen to the record because I didn't stand either at the time. But.
And not even only that, because Otis, I heard little kids listen to that. I heard little kids listen to Otis, so. You know what I mean? So, you know, he knows how to pitch it. You know, like you were talking earlier about Rick Ross knowing how to pick beats. He knows how to pick songs. Always has known how to pick beats. Do you know what I mean?
This is similar to the conversation we had about Eminem, but
oh shit,
I think he's just.
Do you know what? That's a good segue.
Still has the capability to go back. I think Eminem
I never think Jay-Z got to the level that M got to. That's the thing.
No, he did, bro. Think about
consistently good, but he never went to the heights that M went to.
He never got to the commercial. He never got to the
Reasonable
commercial.
Doubt,
He never got to the commercial level.
Eminem
But
like a rapper's rapper though.
Yeah.
And you know he could probably do more, but you know it comes. So much comes into it, yeah. Like even image, yeah. Like M couldn't do what Jay-Z does because you know a lot of it is just based on other shit apart from him rapping. So in terms of him, like his style's not changed. Like you said, no, his style's not changed, but what he does changes. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what keeps him relevant. Do you get what I'm saying? It's what he does. Do you know what I'm saying? Not how he raps to a certain degree, because he can rap straight up.
His style's not changed, but I think his musical ideas change. Like his musical.
That's the time.
That's why he's really clever.
With the time.
Like it's like the OJ track is so different from anything he's done really.
Yeah.
It's far more. Not that Jay-Z's not poetic. He's a very poetic rapper, but it's almost spoken word poetic. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like
but you know what?
his ideas change.
That's a good point that you touched on because the verses is very the verses aren't linear. Like it's a lot of breaks and gaps and stuff like that because it's not really about. It's about the content more than
your 16 down.
He's not trying to impress you with the bars
and shit. Like you know
what I'm saying? But it's a good song, even though it's got like all these gaps in it and like lots of like breaks and verses and stuff like that. It's still an amazing song, even with that.
For me, that track reminds me of a stand-up comedian like telling jokes and then leaving in pauses to wait for the audience to
dramatic
give effect.
He said it on that Letterman interview, the pregnant pause.
Sure,
like pregnant pauses. Like you got to use that. The pregnant pause. You got to have those sometimes.
Really clever
for effect.
using that. In that track, and I think that's what kind of set. So it's when we were talking about like remaining consistently like in flavor all times. I think he's just really clever. He knows how to like tap into, you know, whether it's working with Kanye on Watch the Throne or doing 444. He just knows like what the climate, what do the people actually want and need. And he's just really fucking good at doing whatever people need and want, like the requirements of the people. And that's like the greatest artists that ever lived. Like are just really good at tapping into that energy. I don't know what it is. It's just you know. Whereas an Eminem is fucking awful. Doesn't know what anyone wants. Everyone's telling him to do something, and he's like, no, I'm going to do this. And like everyone hates it.
Just give us Slim Shady, man. And he's coming with this like, bruv. Like,
I don't think Eminem will get back to that.
No, he won't. He won't. He's a different man.
He's a different person. He's a different person. Sure. He's a different person.
Jay-Z's is similar. Like I said, Jay-Z's evolved over his career, not so extremely, but you know, he's gone from rags to riches in one of the biggest tells in fucking hip hop, bro.
The gift and the curse of Eminem is that when he came out with the Slim Shady stuff, it's like it was so good as this character that now he's not that character anymore, and now he's trying to be like a grown up and like he's. From the
I just don't want to hear that.
That's what I'm saying. He's Marshall from Detroit, and he's like embodying all of this, like you know, like social like issues in Detroit, and you know the death of proof, and all of the things that he's trying to like be, you know, a white guy who doesn't side with Trump, and like but having that fan base and all of that, and no one wants to hear that.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds.
No one wants to hear that shit. They want to hear Slim Shady chatting about his pills and shit.
But actually, when he did his Bush one, like Mosh and that was again. It was straight to the top. It weren't some YouTube video. It was playing all the time on every radio station.
I saw Charlemagne, like he was saying, you know, like I'm not here for woke M, and I feel like that's you know, 100%. He was like woke M. He was like woke M is trash, and that is like, I feel like a lot of people have that sentiment where they're like, I don't want to hear Eminem talking about some conscious shit.
No,
they don't want to.
It was never that. It was so the opposite of that.
It seems so cringy.
He's so good at doing the other thing.
Yeah, because when you see Eminem, you want to hear that cringy shit that you wouldn't even speak about.
Yeah, that raw shit.
Man said that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're not thinking, you want to hear him talking about like social change and like justice reform, man. You don't want to hear him talk about that shit. Do you know what I mean? It sounds weird for him to.
A million other people have done it a lot better.
Yeah.
It's
there you go.
So it reminds me of like a really big actor in like a massive like trilogy of a film. Yeah. Who then after that tries to do something different. You know, like Daniel Radcliffe, like in Harry Potter, like. He leaves Harry Potter. Like, what the fuck do I do after Harry Potter? No one wants to watch me in a normal film. I'm fucking Harry Potter now.
I still can't like discern like whether he's Frodo or not. Like they look the same.
Are you seen fucking Jim Carrey as like a Polish murder detective in this fucking dark? Oh mate, it's just the weirdest thing.
No. But
it's the weirdest change.
Let's get it right. Jim Carrey in serious movies is fucking sick.
Yeah. Spotless Mind.
Maybe not that one, but yeah. Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind. That's fucking.
All right, mate. I've not seen that, and maybe I haven't seen enough of his serious shit. But that was weird to watch, bro.
Is it?
Yeah, I was waiting for him to pull some funny faces and start running around and that, and it was.
No, watch Eternal Sunshine. I'm surprised that you ain't seen that. That's fucking ill. He's a guy who's like
he's losing his memory.
No. He breaks up his girl and he's heartbroken, so he gets his memories erased.
Oh yeah.
He gets his own memories erased. And he has to piece it back together again. He keeps getting pieces of his memory coming back. But I need to do that. Anyway, I think
if you didn't hear that, amazing. If you didn't hear that, I need to do that. I need to do that right now.
Moving on, since we're sticking with movies and sticking with like that film subject, as we're going on air at the time of this show airing, Topboy returns at 12 o'clock.
Thank God.
Tonight. Yeah. 12 o'clock tonight. Topboy airs.
So excited about
it. And I just want to, bro, straight to Netflix. Whole season one boof. Whole season one boof.
Dropping.
Oh shit. Man like John Henry has joined the fold. TikTok
John.
Aaron! Yeah. Anyway, so, at the time of airing, Topboy season 3 will drop on Netflix at 12 o'clock. But what's interesting about this, and I've heard like different arguments about this, is the fact that Drake picked this show up just by watching it on YouTube. It had been cancelled. It had been like heading for the graveyard of, Channel 4 series. And Drake, as he does, because he's so obsessed with UK culture, was watching it on YouTube, probably after watching a Skepta video or something.
Tic-tac-toe, man's doing the tic-tac-toe.
Man's blem, innit? Man's blem for real, like. He picked it up, and he basically, within like some months, he let the cast know, he let Asha D and Kano know that, look, I'm fucking with this show, and I want it to come back onto it needs to come back. And within a year or two, the show had been picked up by Netflix, signed a mega deal, and then it's coming out tomorrow. Now, a lot of people, I've seen like people online and stuff saying, Drake fucking dick rides UK culture and shit. But culture vulture and all of that shit. He's always jumping on the UK thing. But I have to like say, man, he's consistently rode for our culture like over years, like now. And I don't get it. Like, so,
if you didn't know that he done it, you wouldn't have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, this is the thing.
It's true. And to be fair, he doesn't like gas it to say, oh, it's my thing. Like he's like, oh, I'm bigging them up. I want to see them shine. The only reason his name's got attached to it, like,
is he exec producer?
Yeah, the only reason his name's been attached to it in a way where it's like on like put on stuff is just to make it get a bigger profile in the
to
US.
fucking throw money at
like,
the thing.
Yeah. So
Literally
in
that.
the US, like I was on Hip Hop DX today, and they're talking about it on Hip Hop DX, in an American site, and they're gonna fuck with it. Netflix are always looking for the next.
They're gonna
big
fuck
thing
with
to blow.
anything that Dre is, anything that that
How
he's
is
got behind.
How is that not good for like British
That's
like,
good,
culture?
man.
You know what
That
I'm
is
saying?
good.
Like, it opens it up to
Yeah.
a global audience.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
a
Like,
global
straight
audience.
away.
This is a little show from Channel 4. Okay, it was critically acclaimed here, but now it becomes worldwide.
But
Not
it's
just in America, everywhere. Like,
But but we have to understand like what the content is about. It's about stuff happening in London, and that's
right
going
now,
to
and
be
it's
shown
relevant, man.
in
Everywhere.
America. Anyone who's got Netflix in America can access. This is gonna have a massive impact.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
on
As long
British
as-
music going over to go to the States. It's gonna make people in the States understand the culture more, understand the way that we construct music over here, the way that we get to like the way that we adopt music into our lives, how that all works. Because I think there's always been a little bit of a gap in the knowledge.
Even greater than that, because I do feel like the music is kind of standing alone in the moment anyway. But I feel like even greater than that, I feel like just for like British art that's like alternative, not just like fucking Downton Abbey and like
It's a serious thing.
Jane Eyre
It's a
shit.
serious thing.
Like, yeah,
it's well put together. It's
yeah.
well shot. Like the acting is like boom. It's good acting, and like now they're gonna take us seriously. Where might before, and it's not like we don't need to appeal to American
no, you don't have
audience.
to appeal to America, but
at
we
the
need
same
the
time,
worldwide audience.
anyone can watch this and see that, and you know what? I think that's a good show. That's a good show.
It's the right time in the game now to start trying to do the appeal to America. Like we tried, like a lot of artists musically alone tried to do it too early, and really we needed to build the UK scene. And now the UK urban music scene is at the best it's ever been. So now's the time. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's an incredible thing, bro.
But yeah, and just from the point of like point of view of art, because it's like it was something I was watching a little documentary on it, and they were saying like in the UK when they were trying to get this new Topboy off the ground, they were like trying to find directors to work on episodes because they're doing 10 episodes here, so they're trying to find like young directors to work on episodes, and it was really hard for them to find like young black directors who'd worked on like high-end television. All of them had like worked on like YouTube little mini-series and like, you know what I mean, like
Different
their
beast,
own
I
little
guess.
thing, like whatever. But no one, they hadn't really, like, it's really hard. And we don't really think about these things. It's really hard to find young black directors who have worked in high-end television. Like,
See, because that's another industry that is really hard to like
yeah,
push into.
in America,
Yeah.
there's a whole industry
Yeah,
for that.
for
But
that.
that is, there's
Everyone wants to be in
Here.
front of the camera, innit?
yeah,
Like, you get me?
and no one
So-
wants to be behind it. But even is it the fact that they don't want to be behind it, or is there no opportunities for them
opportunities.
if they want to be involved? If we don't know, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I would say that it's probably the latter. And I think we've got a thriving UK music scene. Now we've got thriving
It took time.
UK actors from like diverse backgrounds. You got the Riz Ahmeds and the Idrises and
John Boyega,
and the one from Snowfall.
Get Out, the Get
who's
Out
also
dude as
called
well.
Idris.
He's in Black Panther.
Yeah,
as
the
well.
Get Out guy. There's a bunch of them. There's so many of them in the acting world.
in
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Now it's like, okay, where's the directors at? Do you know what I mean? It's like, let's get some people behind
The
the
director,
It's like,
the director
Right,
bit
it's
is the one, like that is the one, because that is the real construction of a story.
Yeah.
Like, and that is they're the people who fucking decide how a story is told.
Yeah.
And that is like the most important bit.
Definitely.
That is the most important bit.
It's a fucking difficult game to get into
Exactly.
for anyone,
Imagine
let
being
alone
there.
a young British
That's
black
why
person.
Top Boy would.
In
Why you
general,
said
I
they
can
would have that
imagine that,
trouble.
Tommy, bro. You
know
That's
what I'm
why.
saying?
Yeah.
But coming back to Drake and his involvement with Top Boy, I'm not a big Drake fan. But I won't shots him because Drake's basically done what none of the British TV networks could do. Channel 4 gave Top Boy a chance, but when they realised that the boat had sailed a bit too far out now, they just let that go into
But you know what I think it was with Channel 4? I feel
they didn't want to clutch onto it with the climate of how shit is over
I
it.
feel, with the way that the crime was going.
Yeah, they
in
didn't
the
want to
UK,
clutch onto something like
I
that.
felt like they looked at it and thought,
No.
we don't want to get caught in a storm. Let's get rid of it because it's like,
Does it look like we're endorsing this shit?
yeah, because it's not really it's not glamorizing the violence, but it's just telling the story bluntly.
Exactly.
So
It's
it can
not
really be
exploitation.
Yeah,
it's
so
a realistic view.
And
So,
Drake-
you know what I'm
It's
saying?
not being, it's not, and there's some real harsh things happening, like kids getting chucked off roofs and shit. It's like, someone, the casual watcher who's not like watching it in the context. You know, like when we were younger and we listened to hip hop tunes and like it's telling a story, but all your mum's hearing is motherfucker, motherfucking nigga.
Shoot this and
Like,
shoot that. Yeah.
that is what
That's what
the
my mum
casual
say,
watcher from somewhere like Doncaster is like, these fucking black
Yeah,
bastards.
that's all they say.
All they're saying is
Killed,
fucking shooting and stabbing each other. But you're not watching the fact that, these guys are like looking after their families and trying to take care of their community in a different way because of social, inequity and stuff like that. So it's not, you're not seeing that. All you're seeing is stabbing. Like, do you know what I mean?
A group of young Italian men in the 70s, it's fine.
Yeah, that's alright.
Oh, that's alright.
That's fine. And the craze, that's all good. That's all right. The craze are fine. Like, fucking nothing, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's all good. But at the end of the day, I feel like, like you said about who decides to tell the stories, who decides what goes in the stories. It's
Exactly
important
that.
because we need more of
They need
these
a chance.
stories.
These writers
told.
and directors and like upcoming guys need that chance. If Topboy had trouble doing that, and they had a budget and probably a lot of money behind them, and they still had trouble doing that says a lot.
Yeah.
For the state of play.
Yeah, but also like going back to the director decides like whether they have black characters,
True.
like actors,
Casting,
and
casting.
and there's so many elements that go like the director basically has the say. Like it really, they are telling the fucking story.
Yeah, so the
it's
ultimate
so
power.
important.
innit?
It's so important that
In that
there is
process.
people. But it's going to take time. It's
Yeah,
going
a
to take
long
a lot of
time. A
time
long time.
because of all those things. You know, as you said, I think Ray, companies.
I think that the avenue, saying that, Lugger, the avenue that Netflix have now given these kind of people in this boat, like the upcoming people, is a great one. Because if it wasn't for like a platform like Netflix, Topboy wouldn't be coming back out right
Exactly.
now. Because no other network was taking it.
No one was taking it.
No one was taking it.
Netflix are clever.
Drake or no Drake.
Because Netflix have got nothing really to lose because what they've got is they've got a shitload of money and they're just trying to find
Gems.
they're trying to find pockets of the market that they don't already own.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't own a British like real like gritty gangster-based drama. There's nothing from Britain apart from like Peaky Blinders is not owned by Netflix. That's it. That got picked up. Well, actually got picked up by fucking Amazon now.
Is it?
No, Amazon's no BBC's getting no awards.
BBC's done for that.
No awards for Peaky Blinders. Amazon's getting all the awards.
I didn't know that.
Hey, TV is finished. TV is over. TV's over.
Done diddly done.
TV is done
It's
now.
interestingly enough, Disney's bringing out their streaming platform now.
Yeah.
Without that, Netflix would have had the entire monopoly, but now Disney have got Star Wars, Marvel, and everything for the kids.
Everything
It's gonna
Disney
be
that they
madness.
had across the other platforms too is
gonna
getting
be a madness.
sucked right back.
Yes, look up.
Yeah. You know about lock off. It's done. It's done. It's done.
Crazy days.
Done. And on that note, we're gonna move on to our next section. So now we're gonna introduce a new section today. We're gonna talk about we haven't thought of a name for it. We're gonna call it working title.